Hey everyone, this is Andrew Ty and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Steam Summer Sale. So if you didn't already know, Steam is one of the main platforms for games on the Mac operating system outside of the Mac App Store. And unlike the App Store, where the games tend to stay at full price for a really long time, Steam games can go on really deep sales, especially during these big sales like the Summer Sale and the Christmas Sale. So this Summer Sale is going to last until July the 8th. The sale prices are the same at the beginning of the sale and the end of the sale, so you should really just take your time and figure out what you want to buy. So the real challenge here is trying to figure out which games have good compatibility with the M1 Apple Silicon Mac and also have good discounts too. So I'm going to go through my picks for this Steam sale. So first up is Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition. So this game is currently on sale at 60% off, and it is one of the best RPGs for the M1 Apple Silicon Mac. This game has a huge amount of content and dialogue, choices, deep tactical combat. I would have possibly picked Baldur's Gate 3 over this, which has been made by the same studio. However, Baldur's Gate 3 is still in early access, so Act 1 is the only playable act, and also it is not on sale, so it can't make this list. However, this is a very deep and satisfying game, so I highly recommend this one in this Steam sale if you don't already own it. So Mad Max is definitely one of the hidden gems for the M1 Apple Silicon Mac, and it's kind of more hidden than normal because it doesn't look like it has a Mac port from the Steam page, but rest assured that this does contain a Mac port. Now the reason that the Mac operating system icon was removed from the Steam sale page is due to the expiration of a license between Feral and Warner Brothers Interactive. So once you buy the game, you'll actually be able to install and play it on the M1 Mac. And this is one of the very best open world vehicle combat games that currently exists on this system, and it's also a really good film license game. So I do really recommend that you pick it up. It is 75% off and is a real steal this Steam sale. So next up is Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which is a phenomenal 85% off. So this game is known as an immersive sim, and it lets you choose multiple ways to actually engage with enemies within a level. You can use dialogue, you can use stealth, and you can use action, but there are many choices that you can make. Now this game is probably one of the best looking on the Mac operating system. It's fairly well optimized, and it's certainly one of the higher budget Mac ports of recent years. Now many people complain that this game is a little bit unfinished, so when you reach the end of the campaign you'll feel like there's parts that have been literally cut out or unfinished, and I think that's a fair criticism, but up until that point this is a excellent AAA experience and is definitely worth the price of admission at 85% off. So next up is Frostpunk, which is a game where the Mac port came out relatively recently, so I do encourage people to actually show support for recent Mac ports, and this is the first sale that has happened since the Mac port was released, and it's at a 67% off, so I do encourage people to go out and buy this game. So Frostpunk is quite unique because it's a kind of city building management game, but it features lots of dialogue and lots of choices, and it's much more narrative driven than your average city management game. So it's set in this kind of Frostpunk universe where the world has frozen over, and it has some very interesting dialogues and choices that you have to make. So I do encourage people to go and check out this game on Steam. So similarly, Metro Exodus is now on sale as well at an incredible 70% off, and this also received a recent Mac port, and this is probably one of the best looking games that you can play on the M1 Apple Silicon Mac. It is certainly one of the most recent AAA titles, and it actually works wonderfully on the M1 chip. So I'm playing this on my MacBook Air M1 2020, so this is a fanless 10 watt SoC, and it renders the game beautifully. It is one of the most atmospheric single-player campaigns that you can play, especially as a first-person shooter on the M1 Apple Silicon Mac, because there aren't that many first-person shooters on here. So please make sure to check it out. So next up is Dying Light, the zombies survival parkour game, and this game is at 66% off, and this is a particularly good Mac port, especially considering how much is graphically happening on the screen at any one time. It actually runs really well on the M1 Apple Silicon Mac. The game features an enemy-infested open-world city with a dynamic day-night cycle, in which zombies are slow and clumsy during the daytime but become extremely aggressive at night. So Superhot is definitely one of my favourite first-person shooters on the M1 Apple Silicon Mac. The game is at 60% off, so it's a really good deal, and it runs really well even though it has very kind of minimal graphics. It makes up for it with this very interesting abstract meta story that's happening in the background, which really messes with your head. And the actual central gameplay gimmick is really interesting. Time only moves when you move, so you can really take your time when you're trying to solve these kind of room puzzles where you have to kill all the enemies in the room whilst dodging all of the enemy attacks that are happening all at once. So the next game is BioShock 2 Remastered, which is a remaster of the sequel of the classic game BioShock. If you haven't played BioShock 1 Remastered, then you should play that one first, and that one also has a port on Steam. So BioShock 2 has, I would say, better and more fun gameplay, but narratively it takes place 8 years after BioShock 1 and is set in the dystopian underwater city of Rapture, and this time you'll play a Big Daddy instead of the character you played in BioShock 1. You'll fight plenty of new enemies, for example the Big Sisters and the classic splicers, and plenty of different interesting boss battles too. If you've never got around to finishing the BioShock 2 DLC Minerva's Den, that is also definitely recommended. It is a single player campaign with a plot that's completely separate from the main campaign, and it's all included within a single package which is now 80% off and is a real bargain. So now I'm going to show you Batman Arkham City. So this particular game is not technically on sale on its own, it's part of a package, and of course you can see here that the Mac port is not listed on the Steam store. The reason for this is just licensing again. If you do buy this game you will get a Mac port, however the entire collection is on an 80% sale. Technically the other games are Windows games, so Arkham Knight is Windows only, and Arkham Asylum you can actually play through Parallels on the M1 Mac, but those are both just plain Windows ports. Arkham City is the only Mac port in this list, but still really good value at 80% off. So Arkham City is a typical modern Batman game with brawling, action, stealth sections, puzzle sections, really good production values as well, so it's really well worth checking out. So next up is Civilization 6. This is 75% off, which is a huge sale. You could actually buy the anthology, which is the full pack of the DLC that's available for the game, but the base game has got plenty of content for you to play around with. So if you've ever played a Civilization game, this is a 4X game. That means explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. And this is a turn-based strategy game, so it's quite a slow-paced game where you kind of make thoughtful decisions about how your civilization is going to proceed. Each game takes hours and hours to finish, and is actually an ideal kind of laptop game because it's turn-based and you can take your time with the actual gameplay and strategy. And it runs very nicely on the M1 Apple Silicon Mac, so it doesn't draw too much power. So if you're playing on a MacBook, it'll last relatively long compared to other games, especially if you turn the settings down a little bit. And also the turn processing, especially in the late game, is relatively good, especially compared to the old Intel Macs, which ran this game very slowly. So Total War Warhammer 2 is just one of the many games in the Total War series which is now on sale, so this entry is at 66% off, and the base game I would say does have plenty of content. It's greatly enhanced by the various DLCs that the game has. So this game is a combination of a real-time strategy and a turn-based strategy overworld game. And the actions and decisions and the diplomacy that you do in the strategy world will have a major impact on the real-time battles that you can have. So another thing to note is that if you own Warhammer 1, which is the prior entry into the series, then you can join into a larger Mortal Empires campaign, which is a combination of the first game and the second game's large campaign maps. It's probably the best way to play the game. So the last entry in my list is Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now I've picked the kind of middle entry in the trilogy because there is the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which does run quite nicely on the M1 Apple Silicon Mac. However, I think that Rise of the Tomb Raider with its 60% discount is a substantially better deal, and it is a good game. If you've never played either game, then I would definitely recommend Rise of the Tomb Raider. So this entry of the Tomb Raider series follows Lara Croft as she ventures into Siberia. The game mostly consists of environmental traversal puzzles as well as stealth combat and action combat as well. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. It is very much a subjective list and it's kind of unfair because Steam contains so many Mac games and virtually all of them go on sale. Even if they're only a couple of years old, they'll go on a quite deep sale. So this list is extremely subjective, but if you think I've missed any really good deals or if you think there are any Steam recommendations that you would make, please leave a comment. I'd also like to direct you to the Apple Gaming Wiki website. So this is a website that I've been working on for quite some time. It contains game compatibility for every game that's playable on the M1 Apple Silicon Mac, whether it's through macOS or through Parallels, virtualized Windows, or through crossover, or virtually any other method. It's all going to be listed here. You can just add any game that you'd like or edit any information that's incorrect, or want to add anything that you've tested out. Everything is listed there, so I'll leave a link to this in the description. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. If you liked it, please give it a like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.